Alright, this is my mother-in-law's Explorer. She's having some difficulty getting in and out of her vehicle. So my wife and I ordered her some iBoard rails. We had them delivered to her house. We ordered them from Amazon. They arrived pretty quick. They were here when we arrived yesterday. And today I'm going to install the iBoards onto her truck and surprise her on how easy it will be to get in and out. The tools that I used for this job were a 5/8 box end, a 5/8 socket, a 1/2 socket, and a number 10 socket. I also used some sewer's chalk, and for my project in particular, I had to use a self-aligning tap kit for a number 8mm 1.25, and then I used the crescent wrench to tap the pre-drilled holes in our truck that wouldn't take the screws that were supplied. It was real easy to do though. When you open up the box, everything's very well packed. The instructions are inside the container that's sealed in the box, so I've opened that up, read the instructions, went out and watched a video, and now I'm going to verify that all the parts are here and accounted for. All the parts are present and accounted for. These people at iBoard have done a great job accounting for all the parts. In addition, as you'll see, that is marked driver's front DF, driver's rear. All of the driver's side parts were in green bags. Passenger rear, passenger front, and all of the passenger side components were in a clear bag. I've broken apart the lid of the box so that I can use it to lay on while I'm working on the iBoards here. And as you can see, there are some holes that were already for the clips to be installed, and it's real simple. You just slide those right up there. That's all there is to that. Then the instructions say to attach the driver's side upper bracket using the hex bolt, a locking washer, and a flat washer. So I just ease that up there, screw those in by hand, and it says to not to tighten those at this time. Okay, I'm ready to mount the lower bracket to the upper bracket, and just looking at them, I was trying to determine which was which when I realized that they are two stamped, driver rear, driver front. So now I'll just install that to what is sticking out from the upper bracket. So now I've attached the lower bracket to the upper bracket using the 10mm bolt, a flat washer, a locking washer, and the nut. And again, I've only tightened everything by hand, so it is still quite movable. It's not ready to completely tighten with a ratchet yet. Okay, now I've got my driver rear lower bracket attached to the upper bracket. And I don't know that it matters a whole lot, but I put the lower bracket, according to the diagram, it's what I would consider on the outside with the nut, the bolt going through this direction, and the upper bracket on the inside. And of course you have your bolt, your flat washer, the lower bracket, the upper bracket, your lock, and your nut. And again, all of this is just hand tightened at the moment. Towards the end of the instructions, it says to tighten everything. So these are the two brackets on the driver's side completed, ready for the running board to be installed. And as you'll notice, the way they point towards each other, that's where most of the weight of the person entering the vehicle is going to be put. So I can understand that that's the way the brackets would be installed. I have positioned the running board where I'd like for it to be mounted. I haven't put any screws or anything yet. I'm going to get underneath and mark about where the holes are with a piece of sewing chalk, or you can use just regular soap. So as you can see right here, these are where my screws are going to need to go, and I've put this white line on both sides so that I can take the running board back off and figure out where my screws are going to need to be mounted. As you can see, I've got my screws lined up with my white chalk lines, and I've got this end to complete. What you do is you just put the screw in right there and you just slide it down to the desired location. So I took the running board and laid the front row of screws sideways onto the holes and just rolled the running board right into place. It settled down on there perfectly. Now I'm going to put the washer and the nuts on these bolts. So as you can see, I've got all the bolts, washers, and nuts in place. Again, everything is hand tightened. I'm going to proceed to do the passenger side, and then I will get the tools out and start the leveling process. So when I got over to the left side of the vehicle and I started getting the rest of my parts together, I realized I'd made a couple of mistakes. One was I didn't put flat washers on both sides of the bracket mounts. There should be a flat washer on the back side or the front side, as well as the back side, and a lock and the nut. So that was mistake number one. And then I had 4 of these black screws left, and I went back to the instructions, and it very clearly says that you're supposed to use these on a threaded hole located on the vehicle. This is the threaded hole. So one of the holes at the top of the bracket aligns with that, and that's where you put that last black bolt. The problem is this is a sport track, Explorer sport track vehicle, and that black bolt does not currently fit in there. I went to our local hardware store and eventually figured out that it took a 20 count thread per inch screw to fit that hole, but they didn't have what I needed. So what I've done is, since this is an M8, 1.25 threads per inch, whatever that's a metric measuring, I guess. I bought a self-aligning tap kit to try to rearrange the thread count in those holes. I've put several different size screws in there, and none of them will twist more than one turn. So this is going to make that hole fit the bolt that came with the kit. So the next thing I did was tightened all the nuts. I started with the bolts that attach the upper bracket to the truck. I tightened all 3 of those on each bracket. And then I tightened the nuts that connected the iBoard to the lower bracket. And then I just laid sideways, used my knee to level the iBoard, and tightened the bolts that attach the upper and lower brackets together. And so there you have it. There's the driver's side. And there's the passenger side. Total time for this project was about an hour and a half, not including the little extra work I had to do on this because the pre-drilled holes weren't correct. So about an hour and a half total time to install. I hope you enjoyed this and that it helps you with your project. All right, so here's Mom-in-law's.
Okay, now I'm going to have to figure out what is the best way to do this. This way.
What do you think?
That is awesome.
All right. So thumbs up for the iBoard. Thumbs up for the iBoard. All right.
It is great.
All right.
You see how fast I got it?
I saw that. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. To think I have been aggravated all these years. I thought I was going to pull the steering wheel off. That is great. Let's see about getting out now. Oh, that's a different story. I got to figure out how to do that. Awesome.
Still easier, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Great.